States, you'll be arriving in winter. We mean it. The northeastern U.S. bracing for yet another blizzard this weekend. People from New York to Maine are preparing for a powerful winter storm that's due to hit within hours. Some areas, such as Boston, can expect up to 30 inches of snow. Some coastal areas may experience hurricane-like winds. This is the fourth winter weather system to hit the region this season. Speaking of winter, a U.S. Coast Guard icebreaker is now towing an Australian fishing boat that had been stuck in the ice near Antarctica, bringing it to safety. More than 24 people on board. The vessel couldn't move for 3 days. Amy Laporte had this report before the rescue vessel arrived on the scene.
Antarctica, it's the most unforgiving place on Earth, and now the scene of a dramatic rescue. 27 people marooned. Their fishing boat, the Antarctic Chieftain, stuck in the ice in one of the most remote places on Earth, some 900 miles away from land. Radioing for help after 3 of the 4 propellers on the 63-metre Australian fishing vessel were destroyed by a huge chunk of ice on Tuesday. Now a rescue attempt. A US Coast Guard icebreaker, the Polar Star, barging its way through several miles of thick ice floes to save these fishermen. The commander of the rescue ship telling CNN just what they're up against.
We've been battling a few little snowstorms here and there. The challenge right now is the ice coverage. We're in about 100% ice coverage. 6 foot of ice with 2 feet of snow on top, rafted blocks of ice all around us. And everywhere you look, there's big tabular icebergs.
With sub-freezing temperatures without a rescue mission, he says things could have been deadly.
If we weren't here, they would have to wait for a serious shift in wind, and that might not come. They could potentially have to have wintered over without us showing up here.
And this isn't the first time the Polar Star has been called in to save a ship stranded in the icy Antarctic waters. In January last year, the Polar Star was deployed to help break through ice that had ensnared a Russian ship. While there, it also had to free a Chinese icebreaker that found itself stuck trying to save the Russian boat. With a spike in the number of people willing to venture into the polar seas, one thing the US Coast Guard says is for sure, this won't be their last rescue. A sobering reminder of just how treacherous and hostile this icy continent can be. Amy Laporte, CNN, Atlanta.
And finally, hidden away in a secret London location lie treasures usually seen only on the big screen. The most famous props from some of the biggest films of the last few decades are stored in a secret vault of CNN's corporate cousin, Warner Brothers. CNN's Max Foster was the first reporter inside with a camera crew. Here's his exclusive report.
Well, a very ordinary reception to a very ordinary warehouse somewhere on the outskirts of London. We're not allowed to reveal the location, and that's because it's the perfect disguise for a priceless archive. And just look at the size of it. More than 10,000 props, 3,000 costumes, iconic objects from some of the world's favourite films, all meticulously sorted and stored here in the Warner Brothers archive. So in this section, rail upon rail of costumes. Let's take a look. The Dark Knight Rises, Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne. The Harry Potter franchise is one of the most successful in movie history. And once the cameras stopped rolling, many of the props and costumes were moved here. You'll recognise the Hogwarts uniform there, and you can get a sense of how Daniel Radcliffe aged as he played Harry Potter over the years. This from the first movie, and this one from the last. More Harry Potter items, right?
Indeed, indeed. The golden snitch, which is used in the Quidditch scenes.
There's no magics to be used between the classes in the corridors.
And then we move on to the Dark Knight series.
And this is the gun that I recognise.
Indeed.
It's heavy. It just feels like a real gun. It's unbelievable.
From Batman Begins, it's the practical grapple gun.
What's that? Another tumbler? Oh, you wouldn't be interested in that.
Check out the tumbler. All 2.5 tons of it, fully functioning, from the windscreen wiper to the 5.7-litre engine. Some of the props were stored so they could be repurposed later on. But above all, Warner Brothers says it's about preserving their shared history.
Today's day and age, the value of memorabilia is huge. People love and connect with those assets, with those television shows and feature films.
The advances in special effects mean that much of what we see in movies today is done with computers. But even the most high-tech film still needs some real props. George Clooney's spacesuit from Gravity and Sandra Bullock's, and the capsule that falls into the water right at the end of the movie. But in order to film the scenes inside that, they built this. So this is the space where Sandra Bullock was desperately trying to get back down to Earth. The detail really is incredible. For the final leg of the Secret Tour, a chance to try for myself what it feels like to be an action hero, like Tom Cruise in The Edge of Tomorrow. I mean, it's incredibly heavy, and to think that they spent hours in this is just amazing. There we are. I'm ready. My task is complete. Max Foster, CNN. I can't tell you where I am.
An action hero on a secret mission. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jonathan Mann. There's more CNN Newsroom just ahead, and coming up, we'll have an update on the ceasefire in Ukraine with live reports from Donetsk and Mariupol. You're watching CNN.